Okay, this is a quick demonstration of SketchUp, and this is SketchUp Web in use for carpentry projects. And I've done cabins, I've done whole cabins in here, I've done furniture, little bits and pieces. But I'm using the free tool for this. I used to use SketchUp Pro, but I find that this is being on the web, I can do most of what I want to do in here. There is a size limit of what you can save, but you can also download the SKP files anyway. So now the tools that you have in the free application, and I'm using, just to be clear, I'm using at the moment I'm using a PC. I have a mouse with a scroll wheel, and it's a clicking scroll wheel, so it counts as the third button. So I'm going to be using some gestures, some keyboard strokes that would have to be changed. If you're using a Mac, you're going to be using the Option button, the Alt button, that sort of stuff. But most of them are going to have their counterparts on the other system. So I'm going to hold down my roll wheel on my mouse, hold down, and that turns it into a camera rotate, so I can move around. I let go. I can hold down a control and wheel in, and that zooms in. I can hold the shift and hold down the wheel, and I can slide up, down, all around, that sort of stuff. So that's the kind of navigation I'll be using. There are tools that you can use here, but you'll get used to using the control, the shift, and the wheel button to do a lot of stuff. So this is a model that I built for an add-on for a studio desk. It's got access holes for cables and so on. So I'll put a keyboard up here, put a mixer down here, and that sort of stuff. And it's got lots of curves and cuts, and I've done the radius cuts here where I will be doing it. What I didn't do is I didn't cut the routed roundovers, which I will be doing on this physical piece once I have it done. But I find those roundovers are not very helpful during modeling, because you do use these sharp edges to place things, and it's easier to do if you're not having to deal with the roundover. The roundover actually creates many extra pieces of geometry in here to get that roundover. It's not a curve, it's actually a bunch of edges. So what I found was I spent quite a bit of time building these pieces of wood. Like this is a 1x8 of oak, dressed 1x8, so it's fairly sharp edges. But I had to build the 3/4 inch and make sure it was a 7/4 inch across, that sort of stuff. So what I thought I would do, and I might do this on an ongoing basis, it doesn't save a lot of time if you get used to it, but sometimes it's nice to have a library of just basically lumber. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a file that just has a few pieces of lumber in it. So when I open up a new file, it's untitled, and Bruno's here. I'm going to select Bruno using this arrow select tool. Select Bruno, get rid of him. Okay, and I'm just going to call this lumber, but it's going to go in my SketchUp library, and this is in the Trimble documents that you get with the free account, and I have a folder called materials, so I'm going to call this lumber. All right, so now I'm going to create a 2x4 first, and basically what I want is I want a 12-inch 2x4 that I can copy into other projects, and I can change the length of it later on. Once you get used to it, you probably just build them in place, but here's how we do it. I'm going to build a rectangle. So that's the rectangle tool. And basically you click on the bottom and the top opposite corner, and it'll build a rectangle. But you want to know what size it is. And I always find that it's easier to govern the size when you're building something rather than resize it later. So I'm going to click once on the origin, and I'm going to slide my mouse up. Now as I slide my mouse up, you'll see numbers changing at the bottom right of my screen over in this area. Now you'll get in different planes of like moving up and down because you're in a three-dimensional space. but I'm going to go straight up this blue origin. You see the on the blue axis, and you'll see that I have dimensions of 0 and 41 inches, 41 and 3/16 inches. So what I'd like to have is I want that to read 1.5 and 3.5. So I can't reach over and click there because it'll change the plane that I'm drawing the rectangle if I do that. So what I do is I go back up here, so I'm on the blue axis, and I just start writing 1.5, 3.5, and hit enter. Boom, done. So now I have a rectangle that's 1.5 by 3.5. Now it's really small because remember Bruno was this big, so a 2x4 is pretty small. So I'm going to hold the control and wheel in, and here we go. There is the front face of a 2x4. But I said I wanted it 12 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this extrude tool, the push-pull. They call it a push-pull. Extrude tool. So I'm going to grab that white surface. I'm going to hold the regular mouse button, and I'm going to now slide in the direction I want to extrude it. And again, I wanted it exactly 12. I'm not going to try to get right to 12 and let go at exactly the right time. Like, it's pretty hard to do. So I'm going to let go, and I'm just going to key in 12. As long as you don't click anything else while you're doing it, that 12 will now make sure that that's a 12-inch 2x4. And we'll do a measurement on it. I've got the measurement tool selected here. So I'll say here, what do you know? That's 3.5 inches. And here to here, that's 1.5 inches. And here to here is 12 inches. Okay? So, definite 2x4. I'm going to go Control Z. I mean, you have these arrows too here, but basically I want to get rid of those measurements because I don't really want to see those. So this is a 2x4, but it's not really a 2x4. It's a 2x4 with sharp edges. And as I said when we were looking at the other model, I don't like doing roundovers in the model because it makes it very hard to place things, because you generally want to bring that corner into a junction point of some other location, or you want to put that corner exactly at a specific measurement in your model. It's very hard to do if you have rounded it off. But if you wanted to round it off, and I'll undo this in a moment, you basically unextrude. I'm zooming into this spot, and I'm going to use my hold down the wheel and navigate over. So basically what we would want to do is we want to chop off a little bit of this if you want a true cut 2x4. So what I'd probably do with this thing is I make a copy of it to do a rounded 2x4. And the way I do that rounded is I would take another rectangle and start in the corner and come down 0.125. I think most 2x4s are 1/8 of an inch radius on the roundover. And then I would use this arc tool. And the arc tool that I have chosen right now, you choose the center first and then the two endpoints of your arc in order to build it. So the center is right here. Oh, I got it. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. I'm going to hit escape, get out of that tool. There. Okay, I'm going to hit the center point. And I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to slide up to the end point, which is on the edge, and slide to this edge. Click that. Now, this line obviously we don't need the line here anymore. There's other ways of getting that measurement point in order to get the center, and you can use other ways of building the arc too. But this is the one that I generally use. So now I want to get rid of those lines that I don't need the rectangle. So I'll click with the eraser to get rid of them. And then we have to get rid of this piece all the way down the length. So again, we'll use this push-pull tool. And basically, I call it unextruding. I grab that piece and I push back. And it should jump to 12 because it remembers that that's the length of the object. And I'm kind of close to 12, so it jumps there. And that's it. Now if I zoom out, you see that edge looks a little bit more like a 2x4 on edge. However, like I said, I probably would not do that for models because Now if I wanted to place that corner in somewhere, I'd have a hard time getting the corner because the corner doesn't exist. Okay, so I'm going to Control Z a little bit and get rid of that. There. So now I'm back to the 2x4. So of course, we probably want to be able to have a 2x6 and a 2x8 and so on. So we can do that whole process again. I'm not sure which is faster really, but I could take this guy and select it, and then this move tool would allow me to move it. But what I'd probably do is I'd hit the control and let it go, and then you'll see I get a little plus there, which basically means I'm making a copy of it. So I'll move it over. If you're going to be copying it into other models, it's good to space them apart because they're easier to select if they're further apart. So that's not a 2x6, obviously. That's another 2x4. But you can probably guess where I'm going with this. In order to make a 2x6, I'm going to use the extrude tool again, grab the top, and push up. And I'm going to push up exactly 2 inches. To get exactly 2, I'm just going to hit 2, hit enter, and there's my 2x6. Alright, so now I'll navigate so I have this in front of me. Select the whole thing. Hit my move tool. Tap on control so it turns into a plus, and I'm going to move it over. Okay, so I need a 2x8 now. So I'm holding down the control, or holding down the wheel so that I can spin up. And I'm going to make a 2x8 now. 2x8s are not 7.5 inches or 7.25, so now I'm going to extrude up this top, not 2 inches, but 1 3/4 inches. 1.75, hit enter. Alright, there's my 2x8. Alright, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I have a little bit more space. Get that thing so I can select it nice and cleanly. Sometimes when you're selecting, you can end up just by mistake grabbing part of another object. And I'm going to move that one and tap the control, slide it over. Yeah, that's far enough. I'm going to hold the shift and my wheel and then move my mouse over. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to move that over a little further. And now that's a 2x8. I want to make a 2x10. So I'm going to extrude upwards, and 2x10s again are 9.25 inches. So now, since that's 7.25, I can go up a straight 2, and there are my pieces of lumber. Similarly, of course, you can make your 1x4s, etc. Now, if I need this 1x6 in a project, what I do, first of all, click this so it's definitely saved. And select this guy. Make sure that I've only got it selected. And I'm going to just go Control V, or sorry, Control C to copy it. Now if I open one of my other models, I'll wait for that to load, it's fairly large, and just move over to the side here. Click, Control V, and I think it's double click, and there it is. There's my 2x6. Now, of course, if I need an 8-foot 2x6, what I do is I get in here. I know that it's 12 inches, so I can grab this and go 84, and that'll give me my 96-inch 2x6. Oh, that's a long board. That's my 8-foot 2x6. And you can do whatever you want, make copies of it in this model, whatever you need to do in order to use those pieces. All right, so that's it. That's my idea about building those objects for reuse. Generally, if you think you're going to build a project, it might be a good idea to just have a corner of the model where you can store materials so you don't have to bounce between files in order to go get more materials. But as I said, once you start building them, you'll probably get pretty quick at building them. Thanks.